Well, hello there. My name is Samurai and welcome to this little demonstration video. I'm going to be painting with oil paint over Yupo paper, which is a very smooth, a very slick surface. I'm just using one color here. I'm doing a monochromatic painting. You're going to ask me what kind of brushes you use, and I'm going to say all the brushes I use are the cheapest one. But if you want to invest in one tool, be in good paint and on this little fella right here, which is a knee-head eraser. The principle is simple. I stain the paper with something akin to a mid-tone. I lift the paint with various tools, a knee-head eraser, brushes, or even some cotton, and I paint the shadows. If the edges of my object or whatever I'm painting are too sharp, I just use a big puffy brush. Ready? Okay. That was just a quick demonstration of how the paint behaves under the puffy brush, how you can use different tools to lift that paint. In this case, just a piece of paper, a paper cloth. And the different mark makings that I'm creating don't have necessarily a clear concept or idea in mind. I'm just looking for the wow factor and I want to paint monsters because that's what I enjoy to paint. You might want to paint a bunch of flowers. And right now, you can see that that big ellipsis, ellipsis, man, English is hard. That big shape looks a bit like a hat. And what I'm doing is lifting the paint in order to create light and sculpt the form. Some semblance of a face, I guess. I'm not too committed to this idea. What I plan to do with this series of videos is show you exploration techniques rather than something more, let's say, academic. I want you to have the same amount of fun or the same amount of stress I have when I paint. And the idea of these little paintings is always to find something new that might interest me that I didn't plan for, to be surprised. So much of our work as illustrators, as artists, it's planning, it's sketching, doing multiple versions of the same image, working on a composition. What I'm doing is just trying to get back to that fun of doodling instead of paying attention in class. Now, with a little bit of medium, which is just a half and a half mixture of linseed oil and odorless mineral spirits, with a pointy brush, I can work out some details, some of the darkest darks. That looks like a mouth, right? It looks great, to me at least. It looks like a very menacing subject, perhaps a parasite. And those decisions, what it looks like, it are based on what I like and what I know, what I have experienced. Not saying that I have experienced parasites, but I have a fascination with reading about them in books when I was a kid. Now I'm adding some eyes, and there is you can witness one of the beautiful things of this technique that I can create different iterations of the same thing and try variations. Just lift that paint up, put more paint, no problem. And that eye, sadly, it made it look a bit like the sloth in Ice Age, which I can't say I have a lot of interest in that particular sloth in that particular movie. Okay, maybe I like it, but I just didn't want it to paint it that day. And I'm backing up. I'm trying to find some variations in the shape that will allow me to step away from that meaning that I found in my head, because to you it might look like something else, right? To me, it's just now the sloth from Ice Age, whose name I can't remember. I just saw that movie a couple of days ago. You see me moving rather fast, and a lot of the footage you can see now is just speed up, because I spent about 2 hours in this painting, coming and going. Here's the big puffy brush to soften the edges. I'm trying to break away from that shape that reminds me of that animated character. And sometimes let's just explore. I mean, I can always go back to that previous mark making and revisit that idea. It's also being filmed, so I have a record of ideas, a record of my process. Moving that paint around, wow, that kind of looks like a hair, a demonic bunny. I don't know about you, but looks like today I woke up with a fixation of cute animals, and fighting that cuteness turns into a bit of a battle of random mark making. I abandon that idea and I just come with a new one, because you can always do that. I'm not looking to commit to an idea until I find a part of it that I'm 100% convinced, or I fell in love with what I did. No commitments until you're ready. That's the beauty of this approach. All these fiddly, scribbly marks reminds me a bit of guts, or the texture of intestines, or the brain texture, the gray matter texture. And that looks kind of like a torso, and what a torso needs is a small head, perhaps, a single. A head that reminds me of the mecha anime I love to watch. But I digress. The torso needs perhaps some atrophied hands, and those upper lighter marks reminds me a bit of wings. So it's going to be a winged demon angel creature. I'm definitely not committed to creating a story before I start to paint. That story will come naturally later. Now it's just exploration. See what the paint, what the stains suggest me. Something that we used to do, back in the time of the dinosaurs when we didn't have internet, people would look at clouds and see things. In my case, looking down at the torso, I'm seeing some insectoid mandibles that remind me of an antlion. This search for meaning, it's one of the keys for this technique. We are drawing, painting chaos and putting an order over it. In this case, my order has just one small intention. Okay, maybe two, which is it has to be a monster, and it has to surprise me in the sense that it doesn't have to be planned. This technique and I would show it in later videos. It's very useful if you want to paint something out from life, let's say, or you have reference and model, whatever. But one of the strengths and one of the biggest draws for me is that I can use it as a search for my own identity. And speaking of search, here's one of my cats, Irene. She's going to leave little his little paw over my painting. Don't worry, I didn't put her paw into the painting. Anyway, everyone's a critic right now, right? Diluting the paint in some medium and testing it on the paper that I have to my right helps it to move more smoothly and helps me to do detail. In this stage of the painting, I'm committed. I like it, ready to get married. Let's do it. And that means doing detail. A detail is the last part because we want to make sure that our composition looks good, that the idea looks good, it resonates with us. And adding detail will also help guide the viewer's gaze in our painting to the parts that we consider most important. In this case, I want the head to be the most important, and that head needs some little horns because it adds another layer of contrast, conceptual contrast, I guess. You can see that the face is kind of weeping, but at the same time, it's smiling. And that's those sort of contrasts really help to tell a story and add a bit of depth to the character that you're creating. Now, I like the composition, I like the concept. I'm just setting up to finish the painting, add a little more contrast here and there, put on my signature, which I always manage to screw up. And we're done. If you have any feedback, please let me know. If you think my English was so and so, if I repeat too many words, if it went too fast, please let me know in the comments. This is the purpose of this video. I also want to express my endless gratitude for you and your time. Thank you so much for looking at this and for taking the time to support my work. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.